Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I'm from New Zealand myself, and this is my 1970 Dodge Challenger RT, otherwise known as Lucy. Today I'm making this video to share some of the upgrades or modifications she's had completed over the years, as I think it's always good in a hobby to share this kind of stuff. You might like some of the ideas and do them yourself, and it's always just interesting to see what other guys do to their cars. We're all very passionate, so yeah, that's why I'm making this video. We'll start with the seats. Obviously they are the high back factory style bucket seats, black vinyl. I've tried to keep the pattern because I do like the factory look, and I always try and maintain that factory image whilst upgrading it with modern bits and pieces where I can, trying to keep it that factory look, because I just love the factory look. It's classy, it's simple, so you can obviously tell it has been bolstered, but still maintaining that factory image. Very comfortable, very hugging. The seat rails themselves were modified and moved back 2 inches, and also on a slight rake, and that modification is the best interior mod I have done. The driving position is absolutely amazing. You're sitting right where you need to be. No more infamous e-body knee shuffle trying to get in and out under the steering wheel. So with the seats, the rails, the 14-inch tough steering wheel diameter, and the tilt steering column itself from Ididit, it's just made it pleasurable. Absolute driving pleasure. When you've got a 700 horsepower Hemi or any high powered car, you definitely want to make sure you're comfortable at all times. So look at the back seats here. They haven't been touched, they are just factory, black vinyl, same pattern obviously. I have Australian, New Zealand style safety belts. And of course, fire extinguisher, very easy to get to when you're in the driver's seat. Lean over with your right hand, ping the clip, and away you go. I also have a secondary one in the trunk, 2.5 kgs, also easy to get to. Headliner, nice and tight. Another good little addition is the Valentine's radar V1. Saved me a few times now. Speaking of trunks and getting to the trunk, just hit that little rear open there button, very simple. You can use the key, but it's nice just to pop the trunk. Little defroster next to it, very simple. I like to keep them out of the way, they're not important. So that's the basic overview from just standing outside the car, I guess. We'll get into the car now and show you some of the other options closer up. So we're in the car now, and obviously you can see all the cluster a bit better. First and foremost, we have the Dakota Digital RTX rally gauge cluster, the 4 pods. They're in kilometers an hour, which is a nice touch. Good for them to offer that, thank goodness. Just makes a very digitalized, modern look on the retro style, which I really, really like. I decided to put up here the toggle switch for the little panel inside there to go through all the different settings and whatnot. I utilize the factory location, and you can actually just toggle through different settings, all your pressures and volts and whatnot. Very, very handy, and at your fingertips on the fly, very, very good. While we're in this area, as you can see, MSD shift light, usually hidden in black like that there. Very clean and tidy, and obviously does its trick, 5,400 RPM. So next to the other main cluster there, you've got the RPMs obviously, fuel, oil pressure, temp, battery, clock. Very, very clean and very, very simple. And then down to the left here, we have our altimeter gauges. I used a air conditioning panel. I had a guy named Slots make that for me. He just smoothed it out, and then we could drill fresh new holes in it and utilize that factory location. So you've got fuel pressure, wide band, and trans, and then next to that, that little toggle switch is to engage the trans brake. I don't do burnouts, but it's good to know I can if I want to. And obviously I have a JVC head unit. It's JVC KD X560BT, just in case you're wondering. And I got this one because it's the only one I could find that has a 3-inch display. And obviously on that, I don't know if you can see that there, has a reversing screen on it for a small single din head unit. if you're in, a tight little spot, or if you know those guys who go to car shows, it's quite a nice option to have. So I find that very, very cool. Definitely helpful. And up here, this is the gear display for my gear vendors, which I'll get to shortly. Above that, you've got the red and green, so if I click that, it won't be engaged now, but it will turn to green, usually on this light, meaning I am in split gear or overdrive, and red, currently, it's off. Obviously, next to it, I've got it in reverse to demonstrate the reversing screen. So when I just pull back on the ratchet shifter, neutral, third gear, bang down once, second, first. Nice and clean, nice and simple, so when you're driving along, you know exactly what gear you're in. Obviously, when you're getting into a bit of the accelerator pedal, it's just nice to see. It's just always handy, and I think it looks cool. It's, again, tucked out the way, nice and hidden. When you're further back, you know, it's not so obvious, just like that, nice and simple. Driving along, bang the gear, second up, third. Very simple. And just below that, this little hidden part that I've put there on purpose out the way. Up for loud, down for quiet, obviously. That's the exhaust cutouts for drag racing if the people in the blue suits pull you over. Very handy to have, and out the way, nice and hidden. So yeah, that's a good overview of everything. Obviously you've got the tilt column here, which is very, very handy. Up and down there, over about there. So that's the interior cluster pretty much. A few options I have. So you've got your gear display light, gear vendors off and on, cutouts, reversing camera down there, upgraded cluster itself, and then you've got your three other gauges down here with the trans brake, shift light over here. It's all in one place, very tidy, very clean. So next I will go over the actual shifter mechanism itself. And the shifter itself. It's a Hurst Promatic 2 ratchet shifter, which simply means you can only shift up or down one shift at a time. You cannot overshift. It's got a Hurst 4-speed pistol grip fabricated to the actual mechanism itself, so it's all fully Hurst. Just looks the part, it's fun, easy to use, and best of all, you get to maintain that real-world stoplight to stoplight, straight-line performance that these muscle cars were renowned for. So the best of both worlds, and why I chose this particular setup for this vehicle. It's a numbers matching Torqueflite 727, which is still in the car behind the Hemi, and that was built for war by a guy named Chuck Mann in New Zealand, a very reputable and well-known transmission builder. It's got a full manual valve body, a forward pattern, so up for up, down for down, which is just my preference. It's got low band apply, 10-inch TCS race converter with a 2,500 stall, all the heavy-duty internals you'd expect, like a bolt and sprag, custom bands, clutch packs, drum work, deep transpan, external cooler, etc. So very reliable, very stout. It's got that nice, crisp, clean, hard shifts that I like. Now, on top of that, you'll notice there's a button. This activates the gear vendors or gear splitting, whatever you want. So you can turn the current 3 gears into 6 short ratios, or you can just keep it as normal, bang up 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and click that button at the end when you want to go into overdrive. Now, to keep an eye on where you are, you've got your gear display. So, shift up, second, third, nice and simple. Now, if you're cruising along, simply click the button, and that will now say, hey, you're in overdrive. Green is on, red is off. So, an unusual story. This is actually a 1 of 5 auto shift sequencer gear vendors unit. I actually got sent it by mistake by gear vendors in year 1. I ordered a standard one from year 1 because I didn't know there was anything else, and they sent me this prototype. And by the time I got to New Zealand, gear vendors found out and basically said, fuck it, let them keep it. And they worked with me and got it installed, and now I have it. So it's pretty simple. A normal gear vendors unit, you drive along, you're in you split your gear and you shift up, but as soon as you shift up, you have to click out of overdrive. With this particular model, this auto shift sequencer unit, you're driving along, you split your gear, click your overdrive button, and then when you shift up, you don't have to kick out, it does it automatically. So very cool and very unique, and I'm quite privileged to have it, because there's only 5 other cars apparently, I've been told. One of them is Jay Leno. Joe Rogan's Sick Fish, the Cuda, has one. Kenny Wayne Shepherd's General Lee is another. Apparently there's an old hot rod in Texas somewhere that has one, and my car, which I believe makes 5. So very unique, very different. I just love it. Absolutely love the setup. So I hope you enjoyed the little tour of my cluster and whatnot, what I've done to this car. If you have any comments or questions, be sure to let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers.